there's a big silence. I feel like if I yelled, no one could hear me.
I feel like it's like the difference between running on land and running in water.
I remember times when I was a kid when my mother just wouldn't get out of bed for days at a time.
It just felt like Mum was maybe not there for me as much as what the other kids' mums were, and that she was just sick.
It's important to distinguish depression from sadness. We all get sad and unhappy at times. Depression is a very different experience. Depression goes on for a longer period of time, usually at least a few weeks, but in practice it's usually a few months.
Well, at first I thought that the way that she acted was quite normal, so I just kind of accepted it as Mum just having a tough day, or, that's just how it was. But, I soon started to realise that other mothers weren't like that.
It's a person goes away, like the spirit just goes away, and it really is a heavy weight on everyone.
If your children were starting to develop depression, they would be having trouble doing their normal day-to-day functioning. So they could be angry, they could be sad, they could be crying, they could be anxious, but essentially they would end up in a situation where they weren't able to function well.
They tend to withdraw into themselves. They tend to isolate themselves. And that's because they tend to be afraid or overwhelmed by social situations.
A lot of times you just want to just be, just kind of sit there, and your friends would ask you to go out and go to dinner or go to a party or something, but you just don't want to go.
My friendships have suffered because a lot of my friends have attempted to understand but haven't necessarily been able to stick through the distance.
The central experience of depression is the unhappiness. So people talk about feeling down, blue, unhappy, and the other part of that is they can't enjoy things as much as usual. So they can't get pleasure out of things.
When you wake up and it's like, because in Melbourne the sky's quite grey a lot, and when you wake up and the sky's grey and the clouds are a bit dark, and you don't know why, but you feel a bit sad, you kind of feel like that, but most of the time.
Major depressive disorder is a disorder that's identified by psychiatrists and general practitioners because people meet a number of criteria or factors, so that they will have low mood for 2 weeks or more, and this will be interfering with their day-to-day activities.
The word depression means to me to be stuck in a room and not being able to get out. It's like being locked in a dark space and having a lot of people outside asking you to come out and wondering why you can't come out, and you can't seem to explain to them that it's because you're locked in.
Bipolar disorder, on the other hand, is not all about low mood. It's also about cyclical changes. So people will not only feel have very low periods of time, they'll also have periods when they're highly activated, and it's often that they have less contact with reality at that time. So they may have visions that they're the world's best poker player or the world's best shopper, and they'll go out and spend a lot of money and often get the family, for example, in financial difficulty.
I actually quite enjoy having bipolar when I'm manic, because it feels good, because it's the complete antithesis of being depressed. So the times when I'm feeling quite manic, I'm kind of high, I really socialise well, I connect with people, I'm quite intense, and I feel like other people really enjoy that side of me. So that doesn't stop for me. So it continues on. Even when everybody else goes home, I'm still manic, and I get in a real muddle. My thoughts, I can't keep up with my thoughts. They just rush at me, and one thought pushes the next one out, and I end up chasing my tail around in my head, and I it's like my whole brain is exploding with this incredibly intense high energy. And then eventually it'll ease off and I'll slide back down the scale of mood again, and then before you know it, I'm depressed.
The future is looking very, very hopeful for depression. We're understanding the brain better. We're developing new ways to screen people early and get help early. And we're also developing new and novel treatments that will make it much quicker and easier to treat this disease into the future.